Hello and welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to talk about the Japanese with a focus on a build order designed around a feudal rush and a castle timing attack. This is not going to be a walkthrough of the civilization. If you're looking for more information about the Japanese, check out the video that was posted before this one. This guide is going to be a rush guide, so what you're going to be doing is you're going to try to get to feudal age as fast as possible. That involves opening up with a 5-2 split. So you set 5 onto sheep. You send one villager over to build a house, and the next one goes to gold. You can do the gold splits in two ways. You can take the first villager that comes out of the TC and put it on the forge immediately, so you don't have any idle time from going back to the TC. Or if you have the APM, what you can do is you can take that villager and then right-click the forge once it has gathered the resources necessary. That's going to make it more efficient. After that, you're going to be rallying to food until you can get to the feudal age. Your scout is going to go and look for your opponent's resources. You want to find their gold, their stone, their berries. Here we're playing against the Ayyubids, and so usually the Ayyubids, like the Abbasid, wants to go for a second town center, but they can also open up with aggression, so you have to watch out for that. We'll speed it up a little bit again. Scout is gathering sheep, scouting our opponent in our base. We're just rallying onto our own sheep. And then afterwards, we'll place the farmhouse. The farmhouse landmark is going to be placed on the corner of your TC so that you maximize the amount of farms that are put out and the additional gain of gathering rate from farms from the daimyo upgrade in the feudal age. Come back with the sheep around 2 minutes so you don't have any idle time on your food villagers. And then once you have 400 food and the gold says below 3,900 gold, then you're going to be able to age up. So all you have to do is do a drop off. Age up with 4 villagers from food. And then your new split should be 4, 3, 2. You want to keep 2 in gold, 4 in food for villager production, and the rest go to wood. Our idea here is to build a barracks before we get to the feudal age, so that we can start pumping out units immediately. The 2 in gold is going to make us able to get the Tatara, the melee upgrade, before the units hit our enemy. And that's going to be the most optimal way of getting units as quickly as possible to your opponent to harass. We're going to make use of the special Japanese unit. It's called the Onabugeisha. Here we are going to try to get to 150 wood. Once you've got the 150 wood, you can start rallying back to food. So what I'm doing here is I'm timing the 150 wood, building it with the gold villagers. And then now I am rallying onto the food so I can get a continuous increase in food to build more military units. Now the barracks goes down. I'm building it with 2 of the gold villagers. I have enough gold now to go for the Tatra, which I will do in just a second. And then the farmhouse and the barracks are going to go up at the exact same time almost. That is usually what you want to do here. The farmhouse, or storehouse as it's called, is going to be spawning farms. So every time there's a farm that's spawned, you send 1 villager over to build, to work on that farm. Build another house and start producing the Onabugeisha. This is a non-counter unit, so it doesn't counter any units, but it's super fast. It has a long range and it's really good for harassing. Got about 12 in food now, 4 in wood and a couple on gold. Go ahead and build your lumber camp at this point. Just rally your Onabugeisha over to your enemy so that you can get an attack going as quickly as possible. Keep your scout around the enemy base so that you have vision of where to hit them, so you don't run blindly into something. You want to scout for production buildings in the case that there are going to be archers or horsemen to counter your Onabugeisha, where we will then have to make a follow-up. Got the second farm up here, so we're going to send another village over to the farm. And now we are also rallying onto the stone. Hit the stone villagers, hit the food villagers, try to cause as much idle time as possible. Your goal is not to kill villagers, because that will usually get your units killed. You just want to force them to make different decisions, maybe bad decisions. Here our opponent is forced to make an archery range, and therefore we will follow up with a stable as soon as possible. We go up to 5 on stone, so we can get the daimyo upgrade. That will increase our farm gather rate. It'll give us a villager and make our TC tougher. Build another house once you're starting to get population capped. and make around 4 to 5 on a Bugacia. Sometimes you're gonna have to make a little fewer than that number, because that can be too many as well. Don't run too far in on the TC so you lose your units. Keep these alive for longer to cause a harassment for longer. Every time you hit, take your scout, try to scout around the wood line so you know that there's something to hit, so you don't run in blindly. And take the units and run from different angles. We're now working our way up towards the daimyo. We're putting the farms on, and also going to be getting a kill here on this low health villager with our one on a Bugacia. So we are revealing our units over here, but our opponent doesn't know that we have another unit here, which will run in and take out a villager. You can get sometimes a lot of villager kills. It really depends on how good your opponent is with their reaction rates. But you can see the range from the unit here is super strong, and so therefore you are also able to run away from the archers. You have the range, and then you can really go in and grab some nice villager kills. Follow up with the stable when you see that the opponent's making a lot of archers, so that you can counter the follow-up units. Get some more upgrades. Get the +2 now from the blacksmith, so that your horsemen and your armored Bugacia do more damage. Around this time is also when we have to go for the daimyo, so around 7 minutes. And we're not going to be going to castle just yet. We want to try to do as much damage as possible, and then we hit them with the castle age timing attack afterwards. So the decision making here is we want to try to get him out of his base, so we bait him with some low health units, and then we follow up with some horsemen that can then do some bonus damage against all of these range units. Keep your scout close, and then see if he's gonna run out. If the opponent doesn't follow you out, you can go for a quicker castle timing, but if they are running out of the base, then you can make more horsemen and try to do even more damage in Feudal. It really depends on how much they turtle. You can go a double stable if you think that that's gonna be useful, and then just get the horsemen on them. These sizes here are not really strong enough to do enough damage, especially if you attack with both your initial harassment units and your horsemen. That'll actually do a lot of damage. So we lose one horseman here. He's lost one unit, he's going to lose a couple more. And now comes in another horseman doing more bonus damage. Don't run under the TC, of course. And then go back. Always check if your opponent is aging up, because then you'll have to speed that up as well. You can keep gathering stones, so you can get the second daimyo, which is the daimyo palace. Keep making farms, or rather, keep going on farms. They are made themselves. And then try to build up your army so that you can go aggressive. In our base, we've gone for the +1 ranged armor, because we saw he went for a lot of range units. And we've gone for a couple more houses. Gonna speed it up a little bit now, so that you can see the timing of the samurai. Now he's starting to make camels, because we've made horsemen. So you can continue making horsemen, just be aware that the camels do a lot of damage to cavalry. So your main composition in Castle Age should definitely not be any type of knights. You can go with spears as well, and to counter the camels, and so you'll be able to take better fights. Just watch out for archers, and see if you can't find good damage. With the Japanese, and this is showing now, you have something called the Uma Bannerman, which is a samurai on horse that will buff up your other cavalry units. And so using this unit is going to be incredibly strong, because it's essentially a Castle Age knight. So use this knight type unit. Try to do damage with it against armored units in Feudal if your opponent has them. If they are going for a fast castle and they bring out a couple of, let's say it's an HRE player that goes Burgrave and tries to stream mana arms to your base, you can go for multiple bannermen. Once you have the second daimyo, you'll be able to build 3 of them, which is 3 knights essentially. And that's going to be your counter units to armor. Build up a little bit more, try to wall key places, and then see if you can secure that Castle Age. As you can see with the split now, we're focusing on food primarily, a little bit on wood, a little bit on gold. We've got the deer in the back. And now what we're doing is we're trying to see if we can't make our opponent make even more units, just to stall their Castle Age. This strategy is really, really good if you are going for a lot of aggression and your opponent goes 2DC and turtles. Because if you then follow up with a Castle Age, what you can do is you can produce a lot without having to spend a lot on your production buildings. So what you're going to be going for is, in the Castle Age, you're going to be dropping the Floating Gate. Now for the Japanese, you have two landmarks. You have the Temple of Equality and you have the Floating Gate. So the Temple of Equality unlocks Buddhism, and that's good for late game fights. But if you go for the Floating Gate, you're going to be generating Yudishiro, which is a relic type artifact that you can put inside of your production buildings, which will increase the production buildings build speed by 200%. So if you have 2 barracks, that is essentially 4 barracks. So you can pump out a lot more units than you would normally. And you don't have to spend extra wood and gather wood, for that matter, to go and build more production. So this is a really strong landmark to quickly hit your opponent with a lot of samurai. Just remember to get your bannerman for the samurai to buff up your infantry units. Always try to see if you can find damage. Get a few more villager kills here. And then after that, we're going to follow up with the barracks. Our opponent here has gone for a lot of camels, a lot of archers. So this is really good for us, because that means he doesn't have any hard counters to our samurai. Here comes the katana bannerman. We're also going to get the +2 ranged armor. And then, as you can see here, we've built a couple of farms ourselves. And that's because with the daimyo at level 2, the farms start to get really, really good. Get the relics now from the Yorishiro and put them inside of your barracks. And then just start pumping out samurai. So you can see here, he's placing it inside. You have 2 barracks at this point. You'll spawn in with 2 Yorishiro, put them inside. Afterwards, start taking relics with that guy. You can use your horsemen to deny enemy monks, and in this case, dervish. They're a little bit faster, so you'll need cavalry to deal with them. Build up a little bit of army. Remember that you do not have a castle in the Castle Age. You can't build keeps. And so what you have to think about is, when you push, that you push with siege. It's really important that you do so. You will not be able to do any keep drops, and some people will experiment with the town centers and the daimyo upgrades, but that is just really, really expensive to get a full shogunate castle, and I'm not sure that's going to be worth it. But you can always build towers, upgrade them with springles if you want to deny resources when you're pushing, and then go siege behind it. As you can see here, building a siege workshop. Get a couple samurai out. Start to build up your army here. We have 13 samurai, 2 katana bannermen. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to try to push in. Our opponent is Castle Age now, but our katana bannermen scale really well against army units. If your opponent starts attacking you here, then you can do a double wall and then push in. But it depends on the map, of course. This map has a lot of natural walling, so you can utilize that, of course. Now push in, and then follow up with siege as quickly as possible. Once you generate another Yudishiro, you can put that inside of the siege workshop. Now push in, and that is pretty much how you should play this build order. So this game goes on for longer, and it is one of those games where we end up in a little bit of a stalemate, but a lot of siege is going to be the way to deal with this. So after this, if you aren't doing enough damage, you can pull back, and then you can build up more siege. Mangonels, springles. I like to go for 2 springles per 1 mangonel, and then to play that out, you can use more towers, more walls, and then try to push into your enemy's base. If that doesn't work out for you, you can also try to set up trade. You can go for a second town center, but if this timing attack works for you, then good. Then you pulled it off. So in general, I think this is a really, really strong build order that you can use. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you think that this is something you want to try, you can check out the build order that I will post as soon as the build order website that I use has updated for Japanese. So it might not be up right now, but you can always try to practice from the video here. So go ahead and check out the description. It's going to be updated as soon as possible. And yeah, there's nothing else to say than enjoy the expansion.